We now return to the Park Shore Coin and Collectibles Hour on Fox Sports Radio. And now, your host, Scott Heiligman.
Welcome back to the Park Shore Coins and Collectibles Hour. We're in the studio with our host and owner of Park Shore Coin, Scott Heiligman. If you were listening to that the first half of this show, you know that we ended with some really interesting observations, discussion. We get pretty animated in here because it's fun to talk about things that are so rare that you might come across, might be that lucky individual to find that rare coin, that rare stamp, that one perfect musical instrument that's got, or a baseball card, something that's collectible that your father, grandfather, great-grandfather had enough sense to put away, maybe keep.
Shipwreck jewelry.
Shipwreck jewelry. You're in Florida.
Oh, yeah. No,
we
see
see
a lot
that.
of shipwreck Atosha coins.
Yeah.
Get a lot of them, a lot of fake ones, though.
Yeah, I imagine.
You know what I mean?
I can imagine.
Yeah,
Well,
they
we
sell
started
for $500, $1,000, $2,000 for, a 30-gram silver piece.
Right.
You're going to find people that can.
Well, when there's that kind of money involved,
Yeah.
you're going to have scoundrels.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's a good way to put it. They're going to be out there. They're going to say, I can duplicate this
Oh, yeah.
for a cup for $100, and I could sell it for $1,000.
Oh, yeah.
It's just too
flea markets. They do it on
tempting.
the internet. Has allowed people to do that too. They
Now-
don't necessarily have to bring it into a professional like me. They can, sell it to an unsuspecting person who
Yeah.
then ends up bringing it into a professional like me to find out.
You have to use a little common sense, like you said. If you see silver coins at a flea market, an Atosha silver
Yep.
8 reel, I think
Yeah.
they're called reels,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's at a flea market and it's $150. What are the chances?
With the certificate.
Yeah, with a
even.
certificate.
Yeah.
What are the chances that person didn't take it to a Scott Heiligman in the world and say, hey, is this worth $1,000?
Yeah.
Oh, if it's authentic, yes. But it's not, so it ends up at the flea market for $150. You're not going to buy something in a situation like that and come out ahead. It's just
No.
not going to happen.
No.
But you can narrow the odds if you've got something, if you own something, or if you've bought something, and you want to know more about its value if you give Scott a call.
Mhm. Let me tell you this. While we're into the Tosha coins,
Yeah.
the person who found it, his last name was Fisher.
Right. Mel
Ni-
Fisher. Yeah.
Mel Fisher.
Yeah.
His first cousin came into my office with some jewelry, sold me some jewelry, also had an Atosha coin with the certificate. I go, forget his name, so I do apologize. I think he's actually a listener. I go, I'm like, this is the certificate. He's like, Scott, and his last name is Fisher. I think they call him Stan. He's like, I'm a Fisher. He's like, Mel gave me this. I'm like, yeah, but I've seen that same certificate where it's not real. And he's just like, like I said, Mickey Mantle. I've gotten a Mickey Mantle baseball that was given to someone by Mickey Mantle's son that was fake.
Right.
He brought me 25 items that were real, the same individual, and that's why he was so floored that the baseball that was actually given to him it was fake. That was the one item that came back not authentic.
Right.
So it's not that uncommon that even he was passed something
Yeah.
from Mr.
So you
Fisher.
could have
So I said
10 good things and one
for
thing
sure.
is just
So I
off.
said no. I'm like, you got to bring it to NGC up in Sarasota, and so he literally went up there, and he also had one other item that he just had so vastly overpriced that I sent him up there, and then he brought it to them, and then they didn't want it. It was a sterling silver set.
Right.
He thought that he had this ultra premium sterling silver set that sold for double whatever the silver value was.
Okay.
I knew I could buy it for the silver value, and that was it.
Right.
No matter how fancy and cool it was. He brought it up to the Silver Queen, who's a great sterling silver buyer, but they do the sets, and then they
They
try
know
to
the
get
patterns.
the patterns,
Yeah.
the high-end patterns.
Right.
They'll get you the extra 10% if you have the super high-end, but they end up paying a little bit less than me even. And
Right.
he learned that by driving that up there. They said,
Right.
we have 100 of these sets. We don't buy, we're not selling them.
Right.
Find someone who repurposes them like Park Shore Coin
Right.
into solar panels, into other batteries, things like that. That's that's the truth.
Yeah.
And so they didn't want that either, and they did buy the Atosha coin for like $3,500 with just his story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's wild to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I trust you 100%, but I don't. I'm like, the coin doesn't have to be legit just
Right.
because your uncle could have gotten it, not even knowing it was part. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
So you could have, because you deal with coins that come with COAs or baseball memorabilia that comes with a COA, you could have a legitimate COA
Means nothing.
and
Especially
something
unauthentic item.
Right.
Exactly.
Somebody-
They could have brought me in.
Somebody married them together.
That's my point. And Fisher did put out a certificate of authentication, but they weren't like this, super sophisticated with the
Right.
website
Didn't
where they took a
holograms
picture
on 'em or- yeah.
exactly.
But that was
maybe-
back in the 80s, early 80s, wasn't
I
it?
think so. Yeah.
70s? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
So unsophisticated COA.
They do that with diamonds too. So they'll bring in a GIA certification for a 1.30 carat stone.
Right.
Oh, this is a VS2 H color. And then they'll bring me a 1.30 carat stone that's maybe off 2 colors
Right.
or off 2 clarities, where the stone goes from an $8,000 stone to a $1,200 stone.
Okay.
Or a $1,500 stone. But
Right.
they have the paperwork.
Right.
They have GIA certification.
Right.
But companies like GIA, they inscribe the diamonds now, but they also, you can look on their website and look at the imperfections on the stone on their system and then pull it up on my loop and see, I can tell if they match up.
Sure.
You can't do that with an Atosha coin, with a lot of coins.
Right.
So you got to have them in those NGC, PCGS slabs that say it's been authenticated.
Okay.
This is the real deal. We check the millimeters, we check the weights, all that stuff.
Yeah.
For every one that's real, there's going to be 15 that come in not real.
That's interesting.
That's the reality of it,
That's interesting.
especially in South Florida, because they sell them down here. It's like a collectible item at like a flea market.
Yeah, yeah.
Not they don't even sell them as real ones. They just sell them as like a silver 30-gram coin,
Right.
and it looks very similar.
You can
And
make
they
it
sell
into a
for
necklace
40,
or
50
something.
bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's interesting. Or a keychain.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's cool looking. I
They're
can
very
see that.
expensive though. They're very
Yeah.
high end and they're very collectible.
Yeah.
People love those.
Well, that shows
And
you.
they made them in 3 different sizes,
Sure.
so it's very complicated. That's another reason why I need a third party to say it's legit.
Right.
Because they made so many variations that came out. And
So when someone brings you items in, for the most part, you got a pretty good handle
gotta
on
know the
what
person.
comes in. Yeah.
this
know
even
the
came
person.
from a fisher.
Yeah.
So you think I would just take it?
Yeah. So but
know?
your senses are.
You have to.
You
have
know
a-
enough. You can know enough where you're right, and you know enough to ask other questions.
Exactly.
Or
And
let someone else take a look
yeah,
at it.
that's the only way to do it fairly with the
So
customer.
you got a network of people that will
Oh,
help you.
A great network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if someone brings in something that's rare that you're not real familiar with,
No.
which there ever so often those things happen, you're going to be able to say, I don't know exactly the value, and rather than underpay you
Mhm.
for this item, I'm going to send a picture and the description of it to a friend that
Yep.
is that's what he specializes
Yeah.
in. And a lot of times it comes out in the person's favor that's selling it. Say, wow, I didn't know it was worth that much.
Oh, 100%.
Took the extra time to find
Yeah.
out, Scott,
Yep.
that it was worth 50% more than I
Yeah,
thought.
Yeah, for sure. Because the condition on a gold was a little bit different.
Sure.
They saw something that I didn't see
Yeah.
when you take the up close picture, especially on diamonds.
Yeah.
If I can, because I take highly sophisticated pictures when they come in to be able to look at them, and on top of having a loop and a magnifier, the magnification you can get on a camera these days is outstanding.
Wow.
But if you have a little tool that I have that goes on the outside lens,
Mhm.
the cameras, very good. And even if I do know what it is, it's always good to have a second and third opinion, because these are a lot of times the people are going to be buying it from me.
Right.
So I want to know what the heck they're going to buy, where they're at,
Sure.
so then I can give them more. Let's
Sure.
take an extra few minutes here, or even a day or two. Sometimes these people can't get back to me in 5 minutes.
Well, we're always hearing stories
We're all
of
pretty busy right now.
stories of people that have diamonds that say they went into a jewelry store and they looked at a diamond, and maybe a couple, and it had all of the certifications, the cut, the carat, the clarity, the carat weight,
Mhm.
everything, and they say, okay, we want that, and they write a check for through $5,000,
Mhm.
and they're going to put it in a ring, and then they come back and they get it. This can happen where they look and they go, that doesn't look exactly like what we bought. Now, it could be the lights.
Could be the lights.
Could be the magnification. Could be how it's done. But sometimes things can be
Things
manipulated.
could be off too.
Just off a little bit.
Just for instance, EGL, it's called the European Gem Lab. They put out certifications for stones, a ton of them back in the early 2000s and the 90s. And back then, these stones, the market was so hot, people would just sell it as long as the carat was correct. If it's a 1.30 carat stone, they would have that part right. They would have the dimensions right, all that stuff. But they would have the colors literally off by 4 colors sometimes.
Mhm.
So they would call an H that was really a J or a K, which is like a darker stone versus a white stone. So like the prices are literally 50% different just by the color.
Right.
And then the clarity, they would say that's an SI1 when really it's an I1.
Mhm.
And that brings the stone down 40% sometimes.
Yeah.
And these are actual certified stones, EGL certified, fancy ones,
Right.
worth nothing. Because literally they would just say, "Hey, Gem Lab, this is what we wanted," and literally they would tell them what they would want, the color and clarity, because that's how they would sell them to the jewelers around town. If people just to know the market was going so fast, and then literally once it came time to sell it, and somebody was going to buy it for that color and clarity, they realized that those mean nothing. GIA is the only one.
Right.
They're by far the world standard for grading.
Yeah.
You know, any other one that you have doesn't hold any weight.
Well,
A lot of people have EGL stones, high-end ones too, 2 carat, 3 carat stones.
so over time, as technology has advanced, we can learn more about things that we thought were, say, perfect at one time. Maybe they're not perfect.
I don't know if there's a whole lot of that possibly. I don't know if they can see. The magnification's always been pretty good.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting stories. You never know what you have. You might work to the reverse. You might have something that's a lot better than you thought it was.
Could
That can happen too.
sometimes, Yeah.
I know that in the world of coins,
Only one way to find out.
I think it was probably back in February, we talked about, and we warned our listeners, when it comes to coins, just like it comes to anything else, don't clean those coins.
No.
Because when you look at them, and the value can be diminished significantly if it's been cleaned.
Mm-hmm.
People want that.
Oh yeah. Any collectability is almost thrown out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like high-end, not collectability, any premium you're going to get for a coin is thrown out the window. So you're only going to get kind of the basic lower-end tier of that coin
Okay.
if it's cleaned,
Okay.
you know.
So don't bring them in cleaned.
No, don't bring them in
Let-
clean.
let
But if you do, if they
Scott-
already are clean, no big deal.
Yeah.
I can work with it. You know, sometimes this doesn't make, like when you're talking about junk silver,
Yeah.
90% junk silver, somebody brings me in a bunch of Kennedy $half or a bunch of Franklin. I see Franklin $half all the time. They're always cleaned.
Yeah.
Because people put them in those blue Whitman books that we talked about,
Yeah.
and they thought that they would make them all shiny for that book before they put them in.
Yeah.
So all the time they're cleaned. Not a big deal.
And if you want to bring Scott,
know.
if you want to bring junk silver in, let Scott take a look at it. Make sure it's 1964 or older.
Yeah, for sure.
Because don't bring in a 1971 Lincoln.
Nickel's no good either.
Right, nickels.
No, you got to
Well,
get back to the Buffalo nickels and older. Then you get to the V nickels.
V nickels are silver, right?
No,
Not
but they're
silver.
a little bit collectible.
Okay.
Yeah,
So there's some things that are older that have collectability
yeah,
that may not have the silver content.
yeah.
Most of the old coins are what, 90% silver?
Yeah, dimes, quarters, and $half are made from 90% silver.
Okay.
1964 and older.
Sure.
Same with dollars. The dollars they ended in 1935. So a lot of people have like those Eisenhower dollars from the 70s,
Uh-huh.
and they think they bring them in. I probably get them. I get them in every week. People bring them in with their collection,
Sure.
thinking that they have silver. You know, they're not.
It's not.
No.
I mean, they can look just like
They
a.
can. They make them in silver, but they were always in a blue little cello pack. They were never circulated. They were meant as a proof set.
Yeah.
So that's why when people do look up online, sometimes they'll see an Eisenhower dollar that's $30.
Yeah.
It's been graded by PCGS for one.
Right.
But just the normal ones that come in
Right.
those packs, $8,
Now,
maybe 10.
a lot of collectors, especially coin collectors, one of the areas that they would invest money in is proof sets.
Yeah.
So you see proof sets a lot too,
A
don't
lot of proof sets. Well, it's just the most popular item that the U.S. Mint would sell.
you? Yeah.
For a long time through the 90s and the 80s. They would just make a nice special
It was prepackaged.
strike, prepackage of every coin, penny, nickel, dime, quarter, $half, dollar, everything that they made that year. They would put it in a special type of planchet, special strike, put it in a nice fancy packaging and sell for $49.
Okay.
Right? They put
Great
$1.50.
Christmas gift.
Yeah, exactly. And then they keep you on the mailing list.
Yeah.
So every year you get one. So I
Yeah.
get people that have the full run.
Yeah.
And the retail price, though, even you can see it on the red book. It's no secret. A lot of the dealers would go by that red book. It'll show exactly what it cost at the time, $49, $39, and what it's worth now, $3, $4,
That's
$5.
amazing. Not much more than the actual coins
No,
themselves.
some are actually just in the book, the same amount as the
Wow.
change,
Well, the mint
maybe
really,
50 cents.
the mint
over.
really made out.
Yeah, that's what they do, making
That's
a mint.
amazing.
That's where the term comes from, making a mint.
That is amazing. Now, they didn't make those proof sets. You can tell me if I'm wrong about this. They didn't make those in the pre-1964.
Oh yeah, they did. Very.
they?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
those are the
So
big.
there were
kahunas.
proof sets.
Oh, even gold coins back in the day. Those are the ones where you see they're going for 50, 100,000, quarter
Right.
million. They're all proofs.
But what I'm saying is the sets themselves, where you've got them
Yeah.
in a
Very
planchet
rare.
That's very rare.
They came in envelopes back then.
Okay, in
And
envelopes.
cellos.
Okay.
So they'd be wrapped in like a cello plastic.
Okay.
And then in a yellow envelope.
Okay.
I've
And that was
probably
their
seen it back
version.
to 54, but yeah, I'll bring the book next time. I mean, some from like 1946, I think, are worth like $3,000.
Really?
Yeah, we'll have to look into it a little.
But they're not in
deeper.
display cases. They're in what you
There's
said.
some of those, yeah,
Yeah. And it'll say proof set on the cover.
yeah,
A lot of times it'll be written on.
yeah. U.S.
That,
Mint. It'll
that
say.
is interesting. And remember, too, that mint marks are very, very important. Those of you that listened to the show in the past know that where it was minted, San Francisco, Dallas, Carson City, you see a double C on the coins, that's Carson City. That right there will get you a premium.
Oh,
on
for
those.
sure. Oh, automatic, you're always going to be double.
Yeah,
At least double what a normal Morgan's going for,
right,
without question.
right.
Yeah.
So don't discard. And junk silver, from a standpoint of not only selling but buying, those of you that want to have a hedge against inflation, you could give Scott a call. He'll sell it to you as well. 239-961-0816. Or you can reach him at parkshorecoin.com. That's parkshorecoin.com. Or again, the phone number is 239-961-0816. He's text friendly. He'll do free evaluations. Just reach out to him. It's a great way to find instant cash. He's open 7 days a week. Sometimes it's by appointment, but most of the time you can just go visit him, go into the shop. Honest, respectable, highly recommended by many customers. Visit the website and look at some of the great comments.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
1937, not to interrupt you, 1937 proof set. It's worth $3,000.
Wow.
And so it comes with a Walking Liberty $50, 1937 Washington quarter, a 1937 Mercury dime, a 1937 Buffalo nickel, and a 1937 penny.
Okay.
4,000. Some sell for 5,000 if they're in really good condition.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, the older you get on those, they're just incredibly rare.
Wow.
Yeah, they didn't make a lot of them back then,
Right.
and those are some of the highest, collected numismatics there are.
During each segment of the show, we like to refer to a comment or a question that a listener had. And we've got one that was actually an email from Dan in Naples. And I'm going to read this verbatim. I hope I get this right. It says, last week, I heard you say that you make house calls. My grandparents are moving into assisted living. Sorry to hear that. We've all experienced that.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, they have many pieces of sterling silver. Can I text you for an appointment? Some will need appraising. I think that's what that says. Some will need appraising. He can text you for an
Happily,
appointment.
yeah.
So, Dan, if you're listening, text Scott for an appointment.
Yep. Or just
Um,
pop in. I mean, I'm pretty much there every day from 9:30 or weekdays.
Right,
From 9:30 to 4:30.
right.
Saturdays Saturdays I'm there as well.
Yeah.
Sundays we're gonna be closed during the summer, and then
Okay.
I'm here on Tuesdays, right?
Right.
Every other Tuesday. But
Every
yeah,
other
I mean, you can call. Otherwise, you just stop on in. I'm always there.
Right. Okay. Well, you know what? But you also have to realize that. Think about this email. He
It's all
said he have a
good
lot
stuff.
of pieces, so he may have to go see him.
Yeah, but a lot of times, a lot of pieces they can put them in one big bucket.
Sure.
I've
Big
seen.
box.
Yeah, big box. You can put hundreds of items in there, especially when it comes to silverware. I mean, usually a silver set's going to be a 12 set piece. So you're going to have 12 forks, 12 spoons, 12 salad forks, 12 soup spoons. So that already adds up to,
Right.
with the knives, 60 items.
Right.
Right. So that doesn't take up as much space as you think. So people can have hundreds of items, and I can whip through it in 8 minutes.
Now, you would probably warn him in advance that if you weigh these things yourself, you're looking at two things. One, troy ounces
Yep.
versus regular
Do
ounces.
grams if you're going to do it.
grams. And also the items themselves, a lot of them are weighted.
Yep. And they're only 92% pure. Some are
Okay.
80% pure.
Okay.
Some are weighted. All the knives are weighted. So
Right.
those you just kind of figure are going to be a little bit different,
Right.
But you can get a good ballpark on the spoons and forks,
Right.
Just don't use like a scale, like a bathroom scale, because the first 5 pounds, very inaccurate.
Yeah.
Those things become accurate once the person's on there and it gets to 50 pounds and higher.
Right.
But if you're trying to weigh out 1.8 pounds,
Yeah.
But then, yeah, you do got to transfer that over to troy ounces. They're 10% heavier than a normal ounce.
Right.
And so all that stuff adds up. And we want you to have the right expectation when you come in. It's pretty simple. We do bids. It's not like a huge negotiation. This is kind of what we pay for it.
Mhm.
It is what it is,
And
you know.
if Dan wanted to sell these things, you would write him a check on the spot.
Yeah, or
right?
cash, whatever he
Yeah.
wants. Yeah,
Bank transfer.
bank
whatever.
transfer. Some people don't like having cash.
Yeah. You know, you're keeping this in mind. If you invite Dan to come to the office, which everyone's invited to come
Yeah,
by,
stop on by.
you can get there right off of Immokalee Road.
Yeah, first turn, Strand Boulevard. It's a 3-story building called the Strand Executive Center, and yep,
Turn right in, first floor, right?
first floor.
So you don't have to negotiate an elevator or stairs or anything. Boom.
Not yet.
Come right in. Not yet.
We might have to go there one day.
Come right in. But
I like second floor, to be honest.
you like the second floor
Yeah,
for safety's
what
sake.
I do, yeah,
Yeah.
a little extra protection.
It's always
If
good.
you want to get me, you're gonna have to run afterwards, my friend. And then
You gotta, yeah. Let's see. That's something to
it's
think
not,
about.
I'm not gonna make it that easy. on
Or
you.
for
Hey, it's also better for floods.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. See, these are the things you got to think of. If all goes in a hurricane, Park Shore Coin will be open.
You're gonna with your light
You know,
flashing.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Ian, what do you think about that? Ian's been
Ian's in. He's been around.
we
He's
were
been in
talking
the
to him-
industry.
right
He did secure. Yeah, it's pretty
Yep.
cool. He's got a good background in it.
between the shows. Well, actually, before we started the show today, Ian was talking about his family members collect things too. Everyone has family that collects things.
You're lucky if you're able to. That means you have a little bit of it's tucked away,
Yeah.
and you've been, astutely keeping something. So some
Right.
people do it the total wrong way, and Ian and I have talked about that before, where they think putting away items that end up being totally worthless, like those $50, the Kennedy ones that say 1776 to 1976 that everybody has. Yeah, they make some that are proof sets that are like $5 each,
Yeah.
but the ones that everyone has that they've been putting away, those are just $50.
People need to think about doing the research at the beginning of the process.
Yes.
Don't save the research for the end
After
of the
you've done it.
process. That just sets yourself up for disappointment.
And just failure, it sets you up for failure. Absolutely.
You save something for 20 years, taking up the corner of your closet and
Yep.
find out it's crap.
And you think in your head you got something there. If all hit, if things go poorly and you need a few hundred
I
extra
guess it
bucks,
was some inexpensive peace of mind, I
Yeah,
guess.
very
but it really
inexpensive.
wasn't.
but it ended up not being.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
I was
What a buzzkill that would be.
I was watching a show on the other night on the internet, and it was kind of a thing on collectibles, antiques, and they had a man in Houston, and he had worked for Enron, and you remember what happened to Enron? Out of business, people that had invested their life savings was gone. If you worked there, you had the opportunity to buy their stock, which got wiped out when they went out of business. Well, this man had worked there for I think around 12 or 14 years, and instead of buying Enron stock, he had been spending his money on collectibles. So when the Enron went out of business,
Oh wow.
all of his buddies lost their money, and he had this huge house, 2-story house in Houston, full of things that he
Collectibles.
liked to buy,
That's the
things
way to
he
do it.
enjoyed.
Yeah.
And he had these two guys come in, and they were looking through it, and he said, "Man, you got a lot." Especially, he had a lot of NASA things because it's located.
That's what I collect.
Oh, he
Because
had.
the whole thing's a farce.
Oh, crazy.
We never went to the moon.
You
I'm
know,
not
wait
going
a
to get
minute.
it. There's no chance, and we haven't been back.
No.
It was all one big.
It's
so that's
time-
why I collect it all.
It's time to go. It's time to go back to the moon.
No,
then.
we can't. You can't get through that radiation belt.
You don't think
Humans
so?
can't.
Okay.
Never could. It was just a thing of the Cold War. It was a lot, truthfully.
Okay.
No, I mean, Buzz Aldrin, I think, has even tried to allude to it on TV before. He's been cut. No, you go to a Letterman, there's things where he literally did not come out of character saying, he's like, you bought that?
Mhm.
Truly.
No,
Yeah. I mean, we have never been back.
I've
There's a
always
reason
thought we
why.
did. No,
Yeah,
really.
everyone has.
Honestly, there's valid arguments on both sides, and I'm not settled on it. But I will tell you this. If it is a farce and a fluke, and they did it all as a big secret and everything,
For war?
it would be probably one of the biggest secrets ever kept.
Yeah.
Because I study
I
these
agree
kind
with
of
that.
things, and they're
I would agree
really
with that. Do you know who did the videography, the cinematography of what came out? Stanley Kubrick. He then became elevated to the #1 Hollywood. He wasn't like this super genius.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, he got on the right team and did a project, and he then became the biggest producer in the history of Hollywood.
Well, Ian, you've
Yeah, he was the one that did the footage.
Ian has studied extraterrestrial activity, and you can tell us there's a lot of activity out there that can't
There's
be
a ton of
explained.
activity out there. Either
oh,
we
it's a
went,
lot recently.
Either we-
And
yeah.
the government's finally admitting to it.
either we went to the moon and there were entities on there that says you're never coming back, or we never went. It's one of the two.
Well,
So either way,
there's a
they're-
third option. Money, as we all know, is a big motivator. I think they went to the moon and didn't find enough there that's worth going back. It's a very expensive process to go there. And if all we're doing is exploring and taking pictures of home, it's not worth going back. So that would be the third option. Like I said, I open mind here,
I
but
think we
but
can get you on
I
board.
always look where I follow the money first, and then I'll look at the science next.
We'll get you on board. I'll send
Yeah.
you some stuff.
If you've
No,
got-
you'll go knee deep. No, I mean, I don't say it lightly.
Yeah.
I'm not a conspiracy.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. And then you'll see it's just bizarre. The whole thing is just
I want to tell our listeners, if they've got a comment about the moon travel, they should reach out to you.
exactly. If you want to buy some moon coins,
239 moon dust, if you can find it. 239-961-0816. Send Scott a text. Send him an email. Tell him what your thoughts are. You might be able to shed some more light on this. It's a very interesting subject. Somehow we got off of collectibles. But
Oh, and if you got a moon rock, bring
we got-
that too,
really-
and make sure you bring the
really-
paperwork.
yeah.
But you know what, Scott?
Those are
whether,
valuable.
whether we did or not, the things that were generated, the suits, the helmets, the patches.
Well, no, we sold
they're
it well.
So,
It was the Cold
it's
War.
created its
Yeah.
own industry.
100%.
It's fantastic. Reach out to him,
Look at all the tax dollars.
239-961-0816.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
or parksurecoins.com. It was great. We had a great Saturday.
That
This
was
is
a good
wonderful.
one.
And we always like to say, if you're on the golf course,
Hit them straight, but we'll be on the water. Keep
you're in the
you know,
water?
yeah, throw them back or
Throw 'em
catch
back.
some good dinner. I don't know.
don't get
Bring
sunburned.
me back some red snapper.
Listen up next Saturday, and we will be back at the same time, same station. Take care.